Please rise for invocation by Father Carl Bergen of Catholic Church of the Epiphany, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Gracious God, with only words you created the universe and called it good. Help us then to use our words well, to create only life and give blessing this day. You numbered the stars and called each one by name. Let us cherish each person we meet and speak their name with reverence. You promised that your word is very near us, always in our mouths and in our hearts. Give us your spirit and teach us what to say. Safeguard over our mouths and temper our hearts when emotions race and words so easily cut. Help us to know when to speak up, to be a cry for the poor, a voice in the desert. Teach us the wisdom to know when to be silent. Your words calmed the sea, raised the dead, forgave the sinner, and comforted the mourning. Give us the grace to speak the simple words. Please, thank you, yes. And strengthen us to say the words that need to be said. I was wrong. I am sorry. Forgive me. I forgive you. Let our yes be yes, our no mean no, and our promises be kept. Above all, may we remember that if we speak with the tongues of angels, yet if we do not have love, we are simply making noise. So let our tongues be silenced if I ever forget you. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Will the clerk call the roll?
Councilman Foley. Councilman Grubbs.
Present.
Councilman Bastian.
Here.
Vice Mayor Stiltman.
Here.
Mayor Burnett.
Here. Councilman Foley is missing today, but we still have a quorum, so we are good to go. With that, that brings us to item 4, public comments on consent agenda items. If anybody wants to comment on the anything that's on the consent agenda, now would be the time to do it. Come on up. Tell us who you are, where you live, and what's on your mind.
Good evening, gentlemen. I'm Jacqueline Craven Loeffner. I'm over at 5272 Barhyde Avenue. The thing that concerns me is the request to extend the hours for the first turn from 11 p.m. to 12 a.m. Recently, since I was here a year ago, regarding the decibel level, they've tested their limits of going a little bit louder during the week. They have been, for the most part, calm, but they're testing their limits and they are going above that 65 limit. I'm only about 2 blocks away. Honestly, I can be standing over at the Beaver Bar and not hear a thing from Iron Horse right across the street, when I'm only the same distance away at my house and I can hear them louder than anything, and then go inside where all my windows are closed and still hear them. They're testing the limits of that decibel level. We need to really keep them on track on that 65 decibel, I believe we kept them off at. But I'm not too keen on the till midnight during the week. Even though it is bike week, people still have to work, and they're not set up in an area like across the street where they're near the water line, where if they are open until midnight, you don't hear them. In fact, I don't even hear the Fish Restaurant, with all the music that they have, and they've got bands all over the place. You don't hear them because their sound is drawn across the water. This particular location is right on a main road, and they've got residentials all over. So their time frame during the week, understandably it is bike week, but it's very quiet down in our area, and to bring that down, I'm not sure. Last year, First Turn did openly say they were not a biker bar. They were a family restaurant. So to ask them to open their hours another hour of music to bring in all those bikes, kind of, it's a catch-22. They're kind of going over what they said last year, where they are a family restaurant. It has been, I did research it, and under the descriptions, they have found that increasing the volume of their music actually increases their sale of alcohol. It's been studied, it's been proven, it's on record. There are a whole bunch of studies done, but you got to be able to keep it calmer for people to enjoy the music and not be deafened by it. So the louder it goes, the more deaf they are. And I'll be honest with you, if I had a family, I would not take it there during the music session, because it is so loud. It would cause deafness to people. So I'm asking that it just be maybe still capped off at the 11 p.m. during the bike week, and just let it go at that. Thank you.
Thank you. Molly, over
Something
here.
you've got close to the mic, can you remove that? Hi, I'm Mary Halsey. I live at 5284 Rogers Avenue. I was also here in June of 2022 when the entertainment district was discussed, and there was such a public outcry that it was put on hold as far as declaring Commonwealth and South Ridgewood an entertainment district, because a block away is residence. We did make a compromise that on Thursday, Fridays, and Saturdays, they could extend from 10 to 11 p.m. In June 20th of 2023, an ordinance passed in order to streamline the recurring special events process. Section 58 through 56, or 5856, C states restriction of the amplification of sound, hours of operation, and signage. Noise shall generally be controlled by Article 4, Chapter 42 under the Code of Ordinances, unless further restrictions are imposed due to the proximity of the event to residential properties. Hours of operations of the special event shall generally be limited to 11 p.m. unless specifically waived by council. During passage of this amendment, in the Port Orange City Council meeting, June 20th of 2023, at the 48-minute mark, Councilman's remarks were interesting. It was deemed, some councilmen felt it was unfair that people outside the Riverwalk and the Down Under, which this legislation I thought was being directed at, were not being included. I have concerns the permit process is sort of being used to circumvent the response of the immediate residential neighborhood and our concern of its impact on our daily lives, and to avoid established code and its purpose to balance between business and community. Is Biketoberfest going to be to 1 a.m.? Is next bike week going to be to 2 a.m.? This business was purchased under certain conditions and city ordinances that serve the community well. Is it reasonable to ask the residential neighborhood to suffer the consequences of a business that wants to change code to fit its business plan? I do have dates where I did make contact with a non-emergency number where their bands played after 11 p.m. on Thursday, Friday, or Saturday. May 5th and 6th of the 2023, June 29th of 2023, September 15th of 2023. On Wednesday, November 25th, the Wednesday before a legal holiday, which is wording that's used in the Entertainment District Protocol. And I also have the loud noise ordinances. These were mostly after the Biketoberfest.
Thank you, Mary.
permit. Thank you.
Appreciate you. Anyone else? Robert, you don't have anything for me this week? All right, appreciate it. Agenda approval. I need a motion to approve the agenda for the evening. Before I do that, I would like number 10 to be pulled. Do we have any others that anybody would like to pull?
Move to pull item 10
Okay.
from the consent agenda and approve all other items on the consent.
I'll second.
All right, before I call for a vote, the item that they were talking about was item 8. Did you want to pull that as well, or no?
No.
Okay. We have a motion, a second, to approve the agenda for the evening with item 10 removed from consent. Call the roll.
Councilman, Grutz,
Yes.
Councilman Bastian,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stiltner,
Yes.
Mayor Burnett.
No. The agenda for the evening is approved. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda with the exception of item 10?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion, a second, to approve consent items 7, 8, 9, and 11. Call the roll.
Councilman Grutz,
Yes.
Councilman Bastian,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stiltner,
Yes.
Mayor Burnett.
Yes. Item 10, may I have a motion for approval?
Move to approve item 10.
I'll second that.
Item 10, we have a motion, proper second, the item's open on the floor for discussion. The reason why I wanted that pulled is I just wanted to give some thank yous. When we originally approved this, it was because of the awareness of the line of duty death that Justin White suffered, and I think it was our intent at the time to make sure that we did this for him. And the fact that we've got to go back and do this to make sure it's done the way we properly intended it in the first place. I wanted to thank legal staff for doing everything necessary to help make that happen for us and bring that forward so that we can do that tonight for him and his family. With that, any other comments? Call the roll on item 10.
Councilman Grutz,
Yes.
Councilman Bastian.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stiltner,
Yes.
Mayor Burnett.
Yes, 4-0. Item 12, public participation agenda, Volusia League of Cities presentation by League President Mayor Lois Paritsky of the City of Ponce Inlet. Hello, neighbor.
Hello.
I see you have a major 3-page PowerPoint for us.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Well, good evening, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, I am Lois Paritsky. I'm the mayor of the town of Ponce Inlet. I'm also president of the Volusia League of Cities. And I'm here this evening to discuss,
Whoa. Somebody's missing. Nancy's got to be up.
Nancy's going to,
Come on.
you're more than welcome to come now. Nancy will be brought in, but you, by all means, you
No, I want
may
that.
sit. And
support her, so
That's right. You got to
And-
support her right by her side.
And I would like to point out that we not only have our first vice president of the Volusia League of Cities with us, Daytona Beach Shores, Mayor Nancy Miller. We also have your very own Mayor Don Burnett, who is a current director and a past president. Now, most of you are familiar with the League, but my purpose this evening is to discuss a bit deeper into the role and the mission of the League, with the hope that I'm able to encourage participation to the extent that you're able to do so with the League. And I ask you to think back to when you first entered public service, your reason for entering public service, and that may have been to put forth a particular idea or to stop something that was occurring or give a voice to the voiceless. Whatever it was to express your opinion, to communicate an idea, and your hope was to be persuasive. Well, the Volusia League of Cities is your resource. We are here to help with advocacy. We are here to help through education on many areas that hopefully will be of help for you to effectively communicate your ideas. Now, the League represents all of the municipalities in our county, and we act as a collective voice, and each of you as members are also the collective voice. And you're the ones who are advocating ideas for your constituents at the county, the state, and the federal level. Now, I'd like to show you how, hopefully, your desire to be a public official aligns with the goals of the League. Now, the Volusia League of Cities, here are your member cities. It's a complete list of all the municipalities, including Port Orange. Now, the League's direction is chartered by a board of directors made up of elected officials of each of the municipalities, and here they are, and you'll see your very own mayor right there. Don Burnett is one of our directors. We have 6 mayors, 4 commissioners or council members, and this board of directors is elected each year by all of you, by the members. And we also have included on this slide Karen Allen at the very bottom. She is our executive director. And what we do is we have business meetings. Now, what do we do with the business meetings? We set an agenda for the League. And what is the agenda about? Well, we look towards our goal. What is our goal? Effective advocacy. And what we do is we hope to set an example so that all of you, the locally elected officials, can accomplish the work to help with local solutions for our state legislators. Now, we do this through educational programs, we do this through workshops, roundtables, and educational programs such as how to fill out your Form 6. How does the appropriation process work? How do we bring money back to our cities? We host an in-person mandatory ethics training. Now, the League seeks to create the optimal environment for properly representing our constituents. And last year we accomplished a great deal. Sometimes we couldn't stop a bill from passing, but other times we were able to modify them so that the needs of your residents could be reflected in those bills. And this year, the elected officials in Volusia County at the Legislative Action Days had a very strong presence. We had 23 representatives of Volusia County up there, and I would like to tell you your mayor had a presence there, and our Mayor Miller was there. We had many elected officials, and those of us who were there had meetings with our senators. We met with Senator Wright, Senator McClain. We met with our representatives, Representative Leak, Chase Tremont, and Webster Barnaby. And what we were able to do, each of us were able to bring to the table the negative impact that many of these bills would have on your residents. What would it cost? Mayor Burnett was able to give a relatively exact number as to the impact of revenue if a particular bill was passed, whether it was the homestead exemption or a local business tax. Now, we work together to have a strong voice up there in Tallahassee. And with the opportunities that the League provides, whether it's through our roundtables, workshops, organizing trips to Tallahassee, we're really only as good as our members, and I wish to encourage all of you to participate to the extent you're able to, and that way we will help influence the bills in Tallahassee. Now, our directors do visit the city councils for the purpose of talking and speaking and hoping to encourage engagement. And at this time, I would like to turn this presentation over to our first vice president, Daytona Beach Mayor Nancy Miller, who is also, and this is important, she is the president-elect of the Florida League of Mayors. So, Mayor Miller?
The first such person ever from Volusia County.
Yes. So, Mayor, council people, thank you very much for having me this evening. So my main goal here is to support my president as the first vice president. I want to tell you about two of the committees that we have within Volusia League of Cities. The first one is the Advocacy Committee. So we have 16 cities in Volusia League of Cities, and what we do is try to rally the support for areas that cities have come to us and asked for our support. I want to give you two examples of what we've done recently. The first one was the Belvedere Fuel Farm out in Ormond. The majority of our members took this back to their cities and did a resolution in support of that. So the second thing that we did was Live Local. We supported that. What we did there was when we were in Tallahassee, we spoke with our legislators about Live Local and how it will affect each of our cities. We also, during our one-on-one conversations with our legislators, brought up that issue. So advocacy is very, very big in Volusia League of Cities. We are there to support anyone that has any issue. If there's anything that ever happens in Port Orange that we can help you with, please let us know. The next thing we did is a mentoring program. So that began with the elections of 2022. Any newly elected official that gave us the interest they would like to have a mentor, our director, Karen Allen, paired them up. We tried to do it logistically. Sometimes that didn't work out, but we wanted to make sure any newly elected official that wanted a mentor got one. So that program began in January 2023. I had two mentees, as most of us did. We actually had more mentees that wanted a mentor than mentors that wanted mentees. So we had two of them, and it was such a wonderful experience for me. What I did was meet with each of them one-on-one, and then I got them both together. And they had questions that I didn't even think about. They both came from different cities with different perspectives, and it was just a wonderful, wonderful time. So what we've done now is Karen Allen has reached out and given us the new assignments, but I want to read what Karen said about mentoring. It's a relationship that is focused on the growth and development of an individual. The connection encompasses broad forms of support, including professional, career, and emotional support. The goal is the relationship to be personal and reciprocal for both the mentor and the mentee. Honest, regular communication between mentor and mentee allows for a trust-filled conversation. All communication will remain confidential. And this was so important to me. Our president, Florida League of Mayor president right now, has three initiatives. One's mental health, one's veterans, and then the third one was a mentorship program. So this is in conjunction with our Florida League of Mayors. So not only will this be locally in Volusia County, but also statewide. We're going to roll that out because we see the importance of that. So again, any of you, I know there's going to be some maybe new movement in 2024. If you're interested in our mentorship program, by all means, reach out to one of us. We'll include you. It's been very successful. We want to be here for Volusia County. And now I will turn it back over to our president, Britsky.
Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you, Mayor Miller. I would like to see whether if Mayor Burnett would like to share anything, being a past president, a director. Is there anything you would like to share?
No.
No.
No,
Okay.
well, what, you're asking me to talk? You're
Briefly.
gonna get enough of,
Don't do it.
let me, this is what I am gonna say. The Volusia League of Cities, you've talked about our relationships and things that we can do in Tallahassee. You've talked about mentoring. One thing that the Volusia League has allowed us all to do is get together and collaborate with each other. And being in the same room, even if it's just once every couple of months, I encourage everybody to take full advantage of those dinner meetings, because we have a relationship right now with Ponce Inlet and Daytona Beach Shores and South Daytona and New Smyrna Beach, our neighbors. These relationships with these neighboring cities of ours have never been as strong as they are right now. And it's because we meet each other regularly, and the league allows for that. And, you know, this is my last year as mayor, and I'm hoping that we can, beyond all of us, we can make these relationships grow into something more. So it's gonna be up to the next generation of leaders to continue that. But that collaboration locally is facilitated by the Volusia League of Cities. And, you know, even when Lois is talking about all 16 cities, when 2 or 3 or 4 need to work together, those are wins. Those are big wins. And that is one of the things that I have thoroughly enjoyed, is being able to work with my neighbors on common interests. And we've been able to propel those things forward. And I want to thank you for your part in that as well.
Thank you very much, and I really appreciate the time that you provided to us this evening. Thank you so much. Thank you. No-
Scott's got questions.
Oh,
What the- That's the mayor, wanting to put you on the spot.
Absolutely.
I don't have any questions.
you don't have any questions? Does
Yeah, I
I
anybody
look on
have
his
any?
face says, I don't know.
Yeah, I appreciate the
Drew, do
league
you have
and what they
anything?
do in
I
the-
do
in the
not.
events after hours.
Thank
Tracy, you good?
I was gonna nominate Reed to be a mentor.
I like that. Take advantage when he's not here.
Reed could be a mentor. We'd be happy to have him.
Mayor and Madam President, and Mayor, Madam Vice President, thank you both.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Thank you, guys.
Public participation, non-agenda, do we have any cards? There being none. Council comments. Drew, we attended something on Saturday. I'm pretty sure you probably want to comment on that.
We did, Mayor, and so it was the first annual Craig Morrissey pumper pool that benefited a group called Yes Youth Emotional Support. And so for those that don't know, Craig Morrissey was one of our firefighters. His father was also a firefighter for us. They actually served at the same time for a short time, and Butch retired. And Craig made it to 2013. He got sick, was diagnosed with cancer, and he ended up passing in 2013. And so we've done a lot of things over the years in memory of him, and this was one of the things that came of this. And so the weather shut down the speedway, and they had to reschedule a couple races, but it didn't shut
Didn't
this
stop
down.
them. No.
Yeah, it didn't shut this down. It was a great event. Took a lot of planning and a lot of things, so got to give kudos to Public Works and all the staff and everybody that worked on this and had to be there in the rain. So it happened right here at City Center, and it was a really good event. Had a great turnout, even with the rain. And I,
11 teams.
yeah, I talked.
11
Yeah, and I
teams.
talked to the chief, and I'm like, yeah, I guess the the weather not so good for racing, but not so bad for this event. So I'm sure a few people stayed home, and it was the first one. So looking forward to doing it again and many more. And I just see a really high ceiling for this thing to go to, because it was such a cool event to watch. We had teams from the police department there, kids from Spruce Creek on the weightlifting team. They had a few co-ed teams, a couple all-female teams. It was really a pretty neat event. The only downside of it was, of course, the weather, but it still was fabulous. So you get a chance next year, next February, March, we'll do it again, and everybody can come out for that. But the main reason was, like I said, to thank the staff and everybody that had to be there and plan that. It was great, so kudos. Thank you all.
If nothing else, I'm just wondering if there's any truth to the rumor that Chief Wolfing is going to try to add a mud pit for the contestants for next year. But
I think that's just a jump in after.
okay.
It'd be a little hard to pull the pumper through the mud, but it'd be interesting to see him jump in after.
11 teams for the first time ever.
Yeah, yeah.
That's incredible. Look forward to next year.
And I know that
I'll come back and watch.
I know the weightlifting team from Spruce Creek. I'm sure they'll be back with a vengeance. I think they were a little stunned at how hard it was. I don't know if they got any practice. I know they lift a lot of weights, but pulling a static piece of equipment across a road, once they got started, they did pretty good. But I'm sure it was something new for
You
them.
don't get a
so.
lot of practice pulling a fire engine.
No, that's a hard one.
What else you got?
That's it, Mayor. That's all I got tonight.
Mr. Vice Mayor, what you got this week?
A couple of quick things, just for residents. There are a lot of events coming up in the city of Port Orange in the next few months as we enter into the spring and early summer season. So I encourage folks to that are interested in what's going on around the city, things to do, places to go, special events, themed events, things like that. Pay particular attention to the city social media pages as well as the Port Orange website where they can find those events. But there's a lot of really great stuff coming up, not only at City Center but also at the Riverwalk area and other places around the city. Wanted to mention, had a couple of residents, and this has actually happened a few times in the last couple of months. Wayne, when residents are calling the non-emergency police department line after, this is mostly happening at night and on weekends, there's some complaints that the phone rings forever and doesn't get answered, or it just takes so long that they just simply give up and just hang up. The concern that I have with that is that, what I'm asking for, I guess, is if we could just look at it and evaluate what's going on. I know that we don't handle those calls; those roll over and are handled by the Volusia County Sheriff's Operations Communication Division. I'm fine with that. That happened over the weekend. I got made aware of it by 2 different residents, so I decided to try to call myself just to see. And there's some merit to this, because when you first call the number on our number, it rings for a little while, and then eventually it trips over to the communications center. And then it rings for a little while, and then it goes to another automated thing, and you have to make a selection, and then it rings for a while, and so forth. And they get slammed busy, and this weekend was busy. We had special events in town. We had nasty weather and all that good kind of stuff. My only concern is that sometimes, and I've seen this firsthand, people aren't really sure when it's a non-emergency and when it's an emergency. And I've seen cases where they should have called 911, but instead they tried to go through the non-emergency line, and vice versa. So I just want to see if we could do some kind of an evaluation. I don't know how that really works, but how long is it taking for these non-emergency calls to be answered? And is there anything we can do to shorten that up if it turns out that it's very, very lengthy? And it may just be periodically. I get sometimes when you don't expect it to be really, really busy, it's really, really busy. And so I get that sometimes manpower and availability has a role, but if you could just take a look at that and give us some feedback, that'd be good. Other than that, that's all I got.
See what you got for us.
I want to give a shout out to Parks and Recreation, doing a fantastic job for the youth basketball competitions. You guys put on a phenomenal show. Kids were excited, smiles ear to ear. It was a good time. I showed up for a little while for that and got to watch that, and it was reassuring to know the program in Parks and Recs is stronger than ever. It was a beautiful thing. And then lastly is on Saturday night after the bumper pull, the 911 call that went out that took Station 73 out from the bumper pull was a phone call from me. And I want to thank Station 73 for coming out on Willow Run Road. We had a car that was T-boned in front of me and spun it around down into the canal.
Oh, jeez.
It was pretty bad. From time of response to cleanup to everybody going home and everybody good, it was 30 minutes from start to finish for a wicked wreck in the rain. And Chief, your guys are right there side by side with them, standing in the rain, helping out, doing everything, directing traffic. And it's one of those things where you hear about incidences, but when you start to see 2 separate teams pull together and watch how fast and how nice and smooth it went for how bad an accident was, it was good to see that Port Orange is there. And I want to thank you both very much, so thank you.
Okay. And Scott, I just want to build a little bit on what you were talking about with the non-emergency number, because if you Google up and you see the big letters, the 506-5800 is actually the police department's business line. And you read in the small print, the actual non-emergency number is the 248-1777. So that could be confusing if people are Googling it up, but the 386-248-1777 is the police non-emergency line. And Wayne, maybe we can do a social media post on our Facebook page and the police Facebook page just to raise some awareness of that, along with, I'm sure that we want to know that our calls are being answered, and the county dispatch system is supposed to take care of that, whether it's an emergency or not. And I share Scott's concern with that. And if you could take care of that for me, I'd appreciate it. Now, getting on to my list of things, a couple years ago, we spent, or I should say the state of Florida, but we as taxpayers spent $1.4 million to install a smart light traffic system up and down Dunlawton, and man, did it work great when it was first installed. And it is not operating the same way that it did before. And I know that the county and the state operate that system, and I'd like if you could find out for me what's different now than what it is. We had a brief conversation, and I know that it costs a lot to operate. To me, that's a them problem, not a me problem. If they're gonna, if the DOT is gonna put in a smart light system, they should operate it to its full capacity. So I'd like a little bit more information about that. Better than it was when we're not operating at full capacity. That's very disappointing to me. And just if you could find out some more information for me, I'd appreciate that.
Do you want DOT people to come here? I know that you have that
Yes,
round
absolutely.
table that you have.
Absolutely.
So I don't know.
You're going to ask that question, I'm going to say yes, absolutely.
I don't know that I can compel them to attend, but we will certainly ask.
I would like, if they, one way or the other, I just want some answers, because if this was something that we spent a lot of money to put in, and administratively somewhere within their budget, they can't fund it, okay, that's fine, but I want to know that. I want to hear that from them. Otherwise, they need to operate the way it was intended.
I know the roundtable of elected officials group that you meet with meets coming up here soon, and there will be a DOT representative there, so you can start that conversation and then see if they'll come here to explain it. They call that the adaptive traffic signal system, and they had them on major corridors in multiple cities here in the county. My understanding is that every one of those is no longer in use. It's not just Dunlawton, Granada, ISB, and the others. So they were at some point determined not the most effective way to control the signal systems, and DOT elected to go to a different approach to control the signal systems.
It took us years to get that system, and then they're going to tell us it's not the best system that they can. That's just, I want to hear a more detailed explanation from them, because that is very disappointing.
So we will make that request, and hopefully some of the conversations you guys have in the roundtable will help.
Well,
so that we have
and
somebody.
certainly since it affects not just us, but several of major cities in Volusia County, I think that we should have that conversation at roundtable as well, and I'll be more than happy to spearhead that since I chair the transportation subcommittee.
Mayor, I just comment quick. Back when I was sitting on the TPO committee, one of the frustrations before this program was ever even implemented by DOT was I don't think anybody really understood exactly how it was supposed to be implemented and worked, and then what was gonna be the measure. How are they gonna measure the effectiveness of it? And those questions were asked a lot, and a lot of terminology and jargon gets put out, but at the end of the day, it just didn't seem like there was a way where they said, and here's how we're gonna measure it to make sure it's an improvement. And now that it seems like they just completely abandoned it after spending that kind of money. Because I will have to admit, right before the last storm, it seemed like there was a period of time, could have been an anomaly, but for about 6-8 weeks, people were even talking about it in the community. They were like, hey, I think something's actually getting better. And then we had the storm.
After Ian,
system got damaged.
It hasn't been the same.
And then it's just never been the same since.
Yep.
So I don't know.
We invest in infrastructure. Matter of fact, I spent time lobbying for that for years. We finally get it, and it's extremely disappointing.
Well, and just to comment on what you're talking about, Mayor, when you say you spent time lobbying it, as did a lot of folks, there wasn't a second option.
Precisely.
That I recall.
No.
That was the only option. So of course you got to hope for it and want for it.
It's either live with what you got or ask for something better. And I thought we were asking for something better. And then when we get it and they don't operate it.
But Wayne, yes, that's an excellent suggestion. I'm glad you mentioned that. It would be very beneficial for us to have a representative from DOT. It's the #1 complaint we hear in the city of Port Orange. Yeah. And it's frustrating for the residents as well as it is for us to have to tell them that's not our road, and we don't control traffic lights. People think the traffic lights are controlled by the city of Port Orange. We don't own or control a single traffic light in the city of Port Orange. Those are done by county DOT and engineering. They're owned by the state of Florida in most cases, and it's a DOT roadway. The thing is, they're not the face of the city. We are, and yet we don't control it. We don't own it, and we need them to help give us some information that we can feed back to the residents. Our residents need to be able to hear from the Department of Transportation what's going on now that hasn't worked. What is the plan? What can you do to help? And by the way, you're welcome to touch on it, Wayne, because I know we talked about this the other day. We do have several projects that our staff in this elected body has worked hard at getting on board to help, but it will not fix everything. It will mitigate some stuff. We do believe there will be some improvement. Wayne, you're welcome to touch on that, or Mayor, however you want to do that.
Actually, that was
Yeah.
another one of my comments here.
But still, the traffic lights themselves, the signaling and how that's adjusted and monitored and stuff like that, that's still going to be a major issue for us. So, anyway, I didn't mean to jump in.
No, that's okay, and thank you, because even though we don't control it, as an elected official with a voice, I'm gonna use it.
Sure.
That's what I wanna do right now, and let them know. We have 21 projects right here on the drawing board, and frankly, some of these that we've been working on for years, some of these are brand new. Well, actually, most of them we've been working on for years, and they take years to go through the process, get the funding. And these 21 projects are all things that I'm looking forward to. We voted on it earlier tonight to approve that list, but these are what's coming. What I'm talking about is what we have right now. We have a tool right now that could make the lives of people in our city and other cities with the same system better. I would certainly like to know more about the what's, where, and the why, about why it's not being operated the way it was meant to, and after years and years of looking at that, I'd appreciate that. On to happier things.
Speaking of TPO.
So on Madeline, we've acquired a beautiful lot across from Sugar Forest. We've closed the sale on that. We've got some wonderful public works projects that are going to happen there to help improve drainage and flooding and sewage control and the like in that area, and it's very necessary. But right now we have a very large area that we're maintaining on that right there at Madeline and Pepper Hill across from Sugar Forest. I would like us to do something similar to what we did with Riverwalk Park before the park was ever built. When it was just a trailer park and we acquired that, and we just had, and all you could do is drive in and be there, we designated that at the time at a council person's request to name that Riverwalk Park so that people knew that it was open and available by the water and people could enjoy that. I would like us to do the same, since we're maintaining this property and it's a big wonderful field of people of Sugar Forest and Pepper Hill and Country Walk, or anywhere for that matter, can use this field if they want to go throw a frisbee or a baseball or just walk. I would like to designate it Sugar Forest Park at Pepper Hill. If council is in agreement, I'd like us to be able to let people know that open space is there for them to use, and by putting up signage, actually invite them to do so and improve the quality of life for the people in that area. And I'm going to ask council if there's any objection to that.
I don't have a problem with that.
Works for me.
Wayne?
And I like to think the great minds think alike, because Susan routinely takes me out when we do our regular meetings, driving around, look at the parks, because it's a lot easier to learn about them when you're in them than talking about them standing in the office. And we actually have been out to that park, driving by, looking at it, and trying to determine how to best make use of it. So they already had thought that through. In the interim, as you've mentioned, before the lift station and the pond goes in, but I don't think that'll take up all of the space, so there's probably going to be a little bit of room left for something in the end. But in the interim, we're still, it's going to take a while before we get the pond designed and constructed, so we could do an interim.
Let's use that space. Let's let people use that space.
Okay.
That's what we're asking. Great. And then the final thing on my list is just to let everybody know one more time, we've been talking about it a long time. This Thursday at 7 p.m. is our annual town hall. This is not something we do in an election year. This is something we do every year. And we invite every resident, anybody who's interested, come to Lakeside Community Center. We'll all be there Thursday night at 7 o'clock for our annual town hall. And if there's anything on your mind at all, bring it with you and we'll talk. So hope to see you all there. With that, Chief, see me afterwards. I got something to throw your way. Item 14, Citizen Advisory Report Committee for the TPO, Mr. Bobby Ball. Hey, Bobby.
Hello, Bobby Ball with the CAC for the TPO. We had our monthly meeting. Some pretty routine stuff with our 5-year TIP program and the 2-year work program updates. Nothing really major. I did volunteer to be reappointed on the TIPS and the subcommittee for the project priority list. So I've been talking to Tim's group before, and glad to see all the list of projects going forward, and I hope to be ranking them nice and high. And that's pretty much it.
Okay.
And I'll now ask about the adaptive signals for see what I
There
can
you go.
see what I could bug them with as well.
Bobby, I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but so sometimes it seems like we use acronyms up here a lot, and we use them a bunch in a short amount of time. Can you just take a second and explain what TPO actually is for people that don't know or maybe listening?
Sure, it's a transportation planning organization. It's really we as a group, we really don't have anything to approve. All we can do is deny. At the end of the day, our real job is to say if we don't want something. Typically, the state and the county pays for everything, and that's how we get our funds. And then ultimately, our job is to rank and prioritize the projects that get built with those funds. And the CAC is the Community Advisory Committee. So there's also a TCC, which is a Technical Coordinating Committee. So Port Orange has a member. I think it's Tim, but I might be wrong. But
Tim Mann.
All right.
Thank you, Bobby.
you're welcome.
Appreciate you.
Thank you, sir.
Item 15, Parks and Recreation Board Advisory Report.
So should I wait till the next item before I report on this item, just in case I don't get reelected? Just curious.
I think the risk is low.
Right? We had our meeting earlier. I guess it was last month now. It feels like an eternity ago.
Hold on just a second. Hey, Chief, do me a favor. Make sure okay, you're on the same page with me. Great.
Bobby Ball with the Parks and Rec Board. I was elected the chair now, so you'll see me instead of Mark. And so we had our last monthly meeting. Some good stuff. I'll try to be brief. We got an update on the bond process, and we're looking forward to seeing the website come out and all that stuff come forward. We also heard about the rec center, which is doing phenomenally well. So we're really super excited about that. And then new program, Agents of Discovery. I don't know if you've seen it, but you can take photos of QR codes and do some cool rec activities when you're in our parks. So, and with that, I think I'll just stop right there and be short. If you got any questions, I'll be glad to take them.
I think you're good, buddy.
Looking to my left, looking to my right, I see none. I say thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Which brings us to item 16. Mouse on my keyboard is what I'm using now because my auxiliary mouse is no longer functioning. So item 16 is the Parks and Rec Advisory Board appointments. We have 5 openings, and we have 5 applicants, and we have 5 veterans of the board, which include Mark Bowling, John Cameron, Mr. Bobby Ball, who we just saw, Maria's in the audience as well, and Sean Holmes. Their terms expire at the end of this month. They have all reapplied for appointment. We have no other applicants at this time, and at this point I would request a nomination or a motion.
Make a motion that we reappoint Mark Bowling, John Cameron, Bobby Ball, Maria Mills Bennett, and Sean Holmes to the Parks and Rec Advisory Board.
As a slate?
As a slate.
That way we can have 1 vote instead of 5.
Yeah.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to nominate those 5 individuals as a slate. Do we have any other nominations? I've got to ask 3 times. Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Robert's Rule of Orders have been taken care of there, so nominations are now closed. Anyone here care to speak to the nominations, or any of the nominees want to talk us out of it? There being none, council, final comments?
I just comment that how much we appreciate that these folks volunteer for this board, and that since I've been on council, I don't know that it's been more important than it is right now to have the continuity that we have on this board for what we're getting ready to try to do over the next couple of years with our Parks and Rec program. So it is a long time coming, but it's critically important to have the folks that we have on that board that have the perspective of the history, what we've looked at, what's been considered, and where we're going. And there's some good stuff with this, so I truly appreciate their interest to remain and continue to serve on the board.
That has been always one of the more important boards in the city, and with what we've done recently and what we've got coming, or hopefully what we have coming, it's great to have the continuity that we have. Any other comments? There being none, call the roll.
Councilman Brooks?
Yes.
Councilman Bastian?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stiltner?
Yes.
Mayor Burnett?
Yes, 4-0, reappointed unanimously. That brings us to the regular agenda portion of our meeting. Item 17, approval to submit the proposed project list for the River to Sea TPO 2024 Transportation Improvement Program Priority List, which I was kind of flaunting a little bit. May I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion, proper second. The item is open on the floor for discussion. Who do we have, Wayne?
Good Community Development Director Tim Berman. This is normally a consent item, but there were so many important projects on this one. We asked him to pull it off to let him give you a 65-page, hour-long PowerPoint presentation on
Which
this.
you've properly truncated down to, okay.
Yeah, but there were, to be serious, that there are a lot of really important projects here, both for traffic, the more safer flow of traffic, and there's also some pedestrian safety projects in here. We just thought this warranted a more detailed discussion than a consent item.
Agreed.
I'm just gonna say before he starts, I'm disappointed that all we got was a plain light gray hoodie sweatshirt. There's no bright color, like,
Yeah, where's your bright colored shirt?
you run out of stuff in the closet or what?
They don't come out until it hits 70 degrees.
Oh, okay, got it.
So hopefully that's in a few days.
Okay.
What you got for us, Tim?
I had to do a quick here on get the map up here, but I think still not working too well. But I think Chris said we do this every year. We've got a number of projects that are currently on the TPO in either feasibility or design, or waiting to be selected for design. What we're here tonight to discuss is adding 5 more projects to that list. These 5 projects consist of 3 feasibility studies and then 2 implementation projects. Those are the ones we're asking for design and construction funds. For feasibility studies, before I get too much into those are ones where city staff has an idea as, hey, this looks like an intersection that could use some improvements in terms of turn lanes and safety. We make that application to the TPO. If we are selected, the TPO assigns us an engineering firm who evaluates that and looks at the best case scenario to make a feasible project to accomplish what we're trying to get to then. So that's the intent for 3 of those projects. The other 2 projects are implementation. Those are ones that feasibility studies have been completed on. We have a set path as what those improvements are, and we're requesting FDOT to provide us for the construction funds and the design funds, which is essentially 90% of the cost of the project, and the city pays for the remaining 10%. So the project that we're looking at today, again, we have 5 of them. The first one is a combination project of both the intersection of Herbert Street and Nova, and also at the intersection of Eagle Lake Trail and Nova Road. First at Herbert and Nova, this is actually a project that we submitted probably the first time I started submitting applications, and it was not the best application, so it is ranked low. So we are taking another run at this one. We have a lot more experience in how to do this, and we believe we'll get a higher ranking this time around then. So this intent is to look at adding some turn lanes into there to help that flow during the peak hours, which is mainly during school. It's a very congested area there. It's also a tight area there, so we got lots of constraints to work with our existing development then. So that'll be important for that feasibility, so to look out and find the best option. Going further south there on Nova Road, we have the intersection of Eagle Lake Trail and Nova Road. That's right where Half Wall is. And there is essentially an open median cut with Eagle Lake Trail and then the shopping center. And there are a number of left-hand turns that are made there that result in accidents. Our idea is to have the feasibility study evaluate, is there some safer traffic measures that could be implemented in that intersection to make it more safer. I think based on some DOT data that we had, there's about 30 accidents there over the past 5 years then. And I think anyone who's driven there has seen probably someone make a left out of there and kind of cringe when they, see that happening then. So that is the first one. The second one, which is not showing up on the screen, but I'm sure everyone knows where Town West Boulevard and Williamson Boulevard is. That intersection with the, currently the turn lane for that into Town West Boulevard off of Williamson Boulevard is about 140 feet. It is probably one of the smallest turn lanes that we have in the city of Port Orange, but probably one of the most used turn lanes that we have in Port Orange due to all the residential area there, along with the park facility that way then. So the proposed project would evaluate basically extending that turn lane. Also too, to look at the turn lanes on Town West Boulevard that turn onto Williamson, both left and right, to see about modifications those to help move traffic through that intersection. Again, that will be the feasibility study. The third one is at the intersection of Madeline Avenue and Clyde Morris Boulevard. Again, this is another one where there's a lot of existing development. We've got some tight constraints to work with, but we do need to make some intersection improvements there to help it flow better then. So we'll be looking for our turn lane improvements on Madeline Avenue, both eastbound and westbound, possible additional right turn lanes, and then also trying to extend those left turn lanes to get more cars through that intersection. The focus really is on that left turn movement onto Clyde Morris Boulevard to go north. That left turn lane stacks up quite a bit into the through lanes, which basically bottlenecks that intersection then. So that's the project. Again, that'll be a feasibility study we'll be requesting. All these feasibility studies too, in addition to the turn lane improvements, we'll also be looking at pedestrian improvements at the intersection, make those sure those are ADA compliant then. Project 4 and 5 are projects that have already had a feasibility study, and we're looking to basically request funds for those to be implemented for design. The first one is at the intersection of Madeline and Nova. This would consist of constructing both on eastbound and westbound right turn lanes and extending the existing left turn lanes then. And then the intersection of Dunlawton and South Swallowtail is the addition of another right turn lane there. Again, trying to get the cars that are turning right off of Dunlawton to help the flow on Dunlawton, that area then. So those are the 5 projects we'd like to submit, subject to your guys' approval. And then also too, we included in there, just as the mayor pointed out, the list of where our current projects are on with the TPO. And like I said, we've got various throughout the stages in there. And here to answer any questions you have on these projects or possibly any of the ones that we've got on that list.
Council?
Tim, on the project number 2 out there on Williamson.
Yes.
I know part of the feasibility is, part of that is identifying who actually owns the properties that we would need to be able to extend a turn lane, right?
Yep, we believe that we've got sufficient right of way
Okay.
in that area.
So that's already county right of way?
Yes.
Okay.
But in terms of the feasibility study too, they will look at basically right of way and identify who we need to get right of way from then.
Okay.
That's part of it then. But from what we looked at that one, we have there's sufficient county right of way there for that turn lane then.
And on projects that we submit through this course, when they do involve county roadways, do you guys, does our staff reach out to the county ahead of time to go, hey, this is something we have an interest in, are you guys gonna be on board to help support this?
Yeah, as one of the requirements for the application, we have to have a letter from the county acknowledging that we're submitting the project then. But we've already talked to them initially about them, and then if you recommend approval of them, we'll send that letter out tomorrow then and get that for the application.
Got it.
Perfect. All of these are significant choke points or safety
Yeah.
issues. I don't think, I don't have a question as to the need for any of them. Myself, council, any other questions? Would anyone here from the public like to speak to anything along this list here? There being none, back to council. Final comments or questions? Tim, I think you got off easy from us. With that, call the roll.
Councilman Gross,
Yes.
Councilman Bastian,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stiltner,
Yes.
Mayor Burnett.
Yes, 4-0. Additional items, city attorney report.
None tonight.
Excellent report. City manager report.
Nothing additional.
Excellent report. City council committee reports. First Step Shelter, that would be me. I'd like to report the First Step Shelter's Mayor's Gala was very successful. We're not sure exactly how much we've raised yet in support of First Step Shelter with that. But we've also expanded the reach of First Step Shelter as New Smyrna has recently signed on, Edgewater is looking at it, the attractiveness of that safe zone to make us all Pottinger compliant is helpful with that. And certainly the more people we have participating in First Step Shelter and the more donors that we have, both public and private, the more successful they can be. One statistic that was reiterated at the gala was that people going through First Step Shelter, we're near capacity now, but after 2 years, 90% of those people are still in homes. So that is a terrific success rate. That story's not being told enough, so it's not just there as a place to put the homeless, it's a place to get people out of homeless and into homes and being productive members of society. And there are many, many different reasons and many different issues that can make someone homeless, but getting them out of that and getting through that and helping them feel human again on the other side of that is really terrific. So glad to see that First Step Shelter is working the way it's supposed to, and we've got a board meeting next Monday. Port
Mayor,
Orange, go ahead.
For the First Step Shelter, maybe at the next meeting, I just would be curious next time if you could let us know what some of the legislation that's getting ready to come out of Tallahassee on sleeping in public places and things like that, how they think that's going to impact their need and demand.
I'm sure that some of that is going to be conversations at our meeting come Monday. But that's terrific, terrific topic because people have to go somewhere, and it's good. It's good to know that we have this. Port Orange South Daytona Chamber of Commerce. We meet mayor manager breakfast. Mayor and the manager. We meet with the chamber reps this Friday, but because I have a special person in the audience, I'm going to save my voice and let Chamber President Barbara Ann Egan tell us what's going on with the chamber.
And she's dry for the first time in 72 hours.
Yes. Good evening, esteemed mayor, vice mayor, council, city manager, city attorney, and directors. First, I'd like to thank Vice Mayor Stiltner's vision and dedication to connecting high school students, especially seniors, to job opportunities within our community. His initiative to foster local talent and provide avenues for students to gain valuable work skills is commendable and reflects our shared commitment to the focus of our success for our youth. We are actively working on the upcoming job fair this May, and we are actively working with Spruce Creek High School for our Career Expo, which is happening here in a few weeks. We are excited to partner with the city of Port Orange, and this partnership shows the power of collaboration, creating meaningful opportunities for our youth. By working together, we can ensure that our students are equipped with the skills and resources they need to succeed in their careers and contribute to the growth and success and prosperity in our community. I'd also like to give, switching topics, a special thank you to Police Chief Marino for organizing and leading the police officers for our beautiful Honor Guard ceremony at the 2024 Mayor's Breakfast and honoring our heroes in celebration. He did a fantastic job, as well as we'd like to thank Fire Chief Wolfing and Division Chief Meske for the coordination and assistance with the event. We congratulate your exceptional honorees, Officer Eric Meshlin of the Port Orange Police Department, as well as firefighter Tyler Simmons from the Port Orange Fire and Rescue. And we thank you, Mayor Burnett, for your pro-business agenda and remarks at the breakfast. We know that the city of Port Orange is a great place to do business, and I am honored to be able to promote your business community here every day. I'd like to also now invite the council to some of our upcoming events. We have tomorrow, February 21st, a ribbon cutting for Blake Thomas from State Farm. He has moved his business to 4639 Clyde Morris Boulevard, Suite 107. That ribbon cutting is taking place at noon, and we invite all of you to please attend. On February 22nd at 5 p.m. this Thursday, we have our business after hours at Flag Sticks at Cypress Head. And we are excited to be able to come afterwards to support your town hall. So we are promoting that. On February 29th, as I mentioned earlier, is our Career and College Expo with Spruce Creek High School. We already have 40 businesses signed up. Those same businesses we are inviting to be part of the job fair this May. And finally, on February 29th, we have Coffee and Connections at Copperline Coffee and Cafe, and this has grown quite significantly over the last 6 months, where even non-members come to be able to connect and network, and we've gained new members as a result of that. That concludes my report, and again, I thank you all for your partnership.
Thank you,
Thank you.
thank you, thank you. With that, does any other business come before us this evening? If not, I will see everybody this Thursday night at our town hall. Take care, everybody. And for everybody watching at home on TV, thank you very much.